guys. Hello everyone. Well, I must say, sorry about the delays. I'm in Brazil. Look, I'll show you where I am. I'm in a place called Fortaleza right now. So, I've been in Rio since December, and now I'm in this place, Fortaleza. So I just moved from actually a nicer hotel a little bit down the way, down the road. So now I'm here, and it's very good. It's a very nice place, very nice people, very nice food, lots to do. So guys, I want to talk to you today a little bit about what is going on with our community. We've got our self-ascending community, which a lot of the guys have been members of for quite some time now. And each week, what we've been doing, each week we've been doing these lectures and these workshops. So on Saturday, it's been more an introduction to an idea or a lecture. It will be something like one of the values of the community. So the community has a number of values. Responsibility is a big one, generosity, perceptiveness, but basically a lot of the values that we sort of want to be able to define our life by, right? When you think about your life, you have some values that you think of as personally important to you. But the most important part of it has been the Wednesday workshops. And what we do on Wednesday is we essentially go over everybody's progress, right? We set goals. On a Wednesday, we'll set goals, and then the following Wednesday, everyone has achieved their goals, and they're posting about it with each other. So it's like real life accountability. Like, I actually think that accountability is the number one thing that people are missing. Like, the number one key to success is like, you just have a goal and then someone or something is holding you accountable to it, right? It's like, okay, I need to do this thing. I need to finish this project. Like, okay, well, I'm going to finish that project. Can I do it in a week's time? Yeah, I've got time. I can do it in a week. It would only take me 3 or 4 days of work. You say, okay, when? Oh, I didn't think of that. Like, I don't know, tomorrow morning, in the afternoon? No. When? When specifically are you going to do that? When are you going to do it? When are you actually going to take the action? And then it's like, okay, well, actually, I can't do it tomorrow morning, right? I've got calls tomorrow morning. My friend's coming over tomorrow morning. Like, I've got another work to do. And this is why nothing gets done, is because we don't actually say, like, this is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to do it. These are the individual pockets of time that I'm going to officially dedicate to doing that task. So suffice it to say, it's been extremely valuable. It's exactly how I learned what I'm doing now. I was like, look, I'm not going to do this, right? Yes, I was young. I was 19 when I started focusing on improving my dating life with women. I was 19 years old when I got hit by the bus of reality, slammed in the face by the reality of a girlfriend. My first real girlfriend was cheating on me for the last 6 months with the representative of her hall at university, right? I got slammed in the face by the truth. And then what? Well, then you feel completely worthless, completely useless, completely crushed, emasculated, and everything that goes along with it, the cocktail of anxiety and self-hatred that if you haven't experienced, I don't know whether you're lucky or unlucky, because I think for many guys, that's the fire, that's the fuel that you need to push you forwards. It's like something so painful, such a darkness that you don't know if you will ever come out of it, right? I'm talking like far end of black pill idea. Like I used to believe, like after that happened, I was like, there is no way that this just isn't my life. Like, I'm just this guy. I was just born this way. Women don't go for me, right? I've seen them go for other people. Very occasionally, a woman that I'm not attracted to might settle for me because she can't get better. But I am ultimately this way. I was born this way and I can't change it. That's what I used to believe, right? And it took for me such a level of pain and nihilism, which I have experienced periodically throughout my life. That feeling that things just nothing really matters, and therefore what's the point? That nihilism, I felt so much of that it's almost like, spiritually speaking, that is the most fertile ground for a revolution, like an evolution of yourself. Like when you hit that rock bottom and you feel like this is pointless, this is fucked, my life is done, there's nothing, there's nothing left to think about, it's just, I'm this way. That is the most fertile ground for some sort of spiritual evolution, for something to come in, and that's exactly what happened to me. But it wasn't enough to just think about it at that time. It wasn't enough, like I spent a couple of weeks like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start doing it someday, read loads of books, bought all of Neil Strauss's books and thought about it like that. And what I needed to do is to just say, go out and speak to someone, speak to a woman, right? Now, I'm saying all of this because I know that the accountability is the most important thing. I sought out people in my city who were doing the same thing systematically. I just typed in Facebook groups of guys who want to meet women in Nottingham. Bear in mind, back then when I was 19, 20, maybe even 21, for me this was all about power. I was so broken from the relationship that I really just wanted to know that I could have beautiful women around me all the time. It was never about the women. I never actually cared about, I never thought how am I connecting with these women and what are they actually like and what are we building together or anything like that. It was purely just ego validation. I want to be the guy that has beautiful women around him so people think I'm cool. It was not the right mindset at all. But again, sometimes you need to pass through phases of approaching something important from the wrong angle or with the wrong perspective. You have to pass through that phase to learn what it's really about. But all in all, I dropped out of university essentially. I was in my second year of university and I just stopped everything altogether. I didn't officially drop out because I was still getting loans and grants to cover the accommodation, so I had a place to live, but I dedicated all of my time to this, and I started working with students who had learning difficulties at the university, and I would sit with them in lectures and dinners. And why did I do that? Well, yes, I like working with people, I like teaching, but I got that job, right, which everyone says, that must be so rewarding, that must be so fulfilling at such a young age to be helping autistic students. Yes, that's not why I got it. I got it because I wanted to get better with girls. And I thought that understanding behavior, being able to teach him, was going to help me with girls. It gave me time to go out with him and help him talk to girls. It gave me knowledge of how to teach, right? I knew I wanted to do this job from the age of 19. I knew I wanted to do what I'm doing now. But the accountability is the most important thing. I had a group of people around me in Nottingham. A very strange, motley crew of characters around Nottingham. And we went out all the time. We did immersion weekends where we went out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day, every day. We were out doing this. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't particularly coming from a good place, as I said. But did it help? Yes, because there was so much learning in such a short space of time. But look, there's two things that I really want to help you guys with on this call. And the first is exactly what we're talking about now. If you do not have a system of accountability towards a goal that you're trying to achieve, you will not achieve it. That's the simple truth. That's the simple truth. Everyone talks about how to get motivated, or even they talk about how to build internal discipline. And for me, all of this is just a case of what is the system that you're using, right? What system do you have in place? Right? I'm in this hotel. Fortunately, it's not filled with chocolate and sweets and things that are bad for me. It's not filled with prostitutes. It's not filled with a lot of things that would be bad for me. And if it were, and I had a moment of weakness, I had a moment of low energy, a moment of tiredness, where do you think I'm going to turn? I'm going to turn to the thing that makes me feel better in the time of weakness. But I don't have that. Luckily, my hotel room is clean and spacious and empty, and I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. I only achieve things when I have a system that doesn't allow for the alternative, you know? Like right now like an hour late for this call because I had to download some software on my Mac because I wasn't able to stream, right? But I said I was gonna do it, so I had to do it, right? So it's like you have to create the circumstances in which you can't get out of what you need to do, right? And what I found is that having a group of people around you, having a group of people that you are accountable to, who not only are achieving the goals that they are going for, and you are their accountability, but they are your accountability as well. And you're seeing them achieving things week on week. We have this tendency to think that we're not making progress. Like, oh, I started my business a year ago, or I got my job a year ago and I haven't even got a raise yet, and it's, you know, maybe it's not moving that fast. If you track your small targets week by week towards a big goal, right? It's exactly how my one-on-one coaching works. We design the ideal future. We design the ideal, like what is it that you really, really want? What do you imagine as the perfect looking future for yourself? Okay, in 12 weeks time, in 3 months time, what would be evident progress that you're moving in that direction, right? Okay, I want a beautiful wife, 2 children, I want to live in the countryside, and I want to have a house with a pool, okay? Well, and maybe you want that 5, 6, 7 years from now. What would be 3 months of progress in that direction? What would be 12 weeks of progress? Well, if you're someone who's not dating any women, you have no access to women, maybe it might be you've gone on 2, 3 dates maybe by that time. Because if you've gone on 3 dates, then you move that forward a year, 3 dates in 3 months, that's 12 dates in a year, right? Now it's starting to be like, okay, if 1 in 10 women that you choose and that you go on a date with, maybe 1 in 10 you're deeply compatible with. Now you're starting to see how the short-term actions that you take in the present contribute and build towards the long-term goal. And then it's like, okay, well, how am I going to get 3 dates in 3 months? It's like, okay, well, what actions do you need to take? We go into the micro detail. This is how we achieve things. We go into the micro detail. We say, how much time do you have when you're not working in a week? Well, you're working, most people, 6 to 9 hours a day. How much time do you have outside of that? Most people have 4 or 5 hours of free time. Spend 2 hours at the gym, an hour cooking and doing other things. You've got 2 hours a day, minimum. Weekends, you have much more. Okay, so can you spend 1 hour of that time in environments that are likely to have a high volume of the types of women that you find attractive and are also going to be environments that are conducive to conversation? That's the combination you're looking for. Okay, yeah, there's actually like a bookshop down the road, or like a co-working space. There's a coffee place. There are some meetups or events or mundo lingo events, language events. Put yourself in those environments. If you just put yourself in those environments with enough time, you are going to meet the types of women that you like, right? There is a law of averages here at play. But when you also select for environments that are going to have those women, it's even better. So why are we going into all of this detail? Because this is the system, this is the accountability that you need. You need to have your progress when you're achieving your goals, you need to have that progress detailed along a line of a system of like, this is where I'm going long term. This represents progress towards that on a 3-month scale. This is the weekly target that I have for this week that puts me in the right direction of my 12-week goal. And then these are the daily actions that I need to take today in order to hit that weekly goal. And it sounds complicated because if you try and do that now, if I try and do that for myself now, say where am I going in a year's time and what's going to be my month goal to that, and it's going to be impossible. So guess what? I use a coach. I have a coach because I know that accountability is the most important thing. But having some sort of system of accountability, someone that expects you to do what you've said you're going to do, is incredibly important if you are like me. And I think, broadly speaking, we're much more similar than we think. I think people are much more similar than they think. And the reason why is because I've worked with, as you guys know, I've worked with thousands of guys, and every time someone says, like, oh Sam, I've got this problem, and this thing happens where when a girl looks at me and I want to talk to her, but when she looks at me and gives me an IOI, I feel even more nervous. It's like such a weird problem. It's not a weird problem. The highest probability that your problem is that a problem is a universal problem is that you have it, right? So whenever you think you have this problem with women or this problem here, it always feels like it's something really personal, right? It's something that you're carrying, a burden that you're carrying with yourself. Like no one else understands what it's like. But if you actually think about it, everyone, well, maybe you don't know because you don't talk to people every day who all have the exact same problems. But these problems are universal. This isn't just you. And that means that the solution is also universal. It's like, okay, this isn't going to hold me back because everybody feels this way. Everybody feels this resistance. Everybody gets nervous sometimes. Everybody sometimes walks like through a building and doesn't want to be looked at and can't make eye contact. All of these things happen to varying extents to different people. So to different guys in particular. So once you know that, it's like it's a level playing field. You can think of it like a level playing field. So the only thing that's stopping you is resistance. Now you know that everyone has these problems and some people overcome them and some people don't. It's a level playing field. So the systems that you employ, saying like, okay, these are the tasks that need to be completed today in order to hit my weekly goal, in order to hit my 3 monthly, yearly goals. Once we have that system, and all we have to do is just come back to it and say, let me look at the system. It's all done for me. It's all automated. Then you start making real progress. And the second thing that I want to talk about is attitude. And attitude is literally everything. It's literally the ability to create the strategy comes from you being able to say, whatever I'm seeing around me right now, I have been blessed with the ability to decide how I want to think about it, how I want to understand it, how I want to engage with the world around me, right? So you're stuck at home, you're alone, you don't have enough money to travel, but you want to travel, but you don't have enough energy to go out, but you want to meet people. You're stuck in a rut. That rut is entirely of your own doing. It's entirely inside your mind, right? If you were thrusted into a position where it's like, okay, Russia is at our doorstep, Putin is now like crossing the border, flying into England, and there's, we're at war, and you were suddenly conscripted. Do you think you would feel tired and lethargic? Do you think you would feel like, oh, life's just not very good, it's hard for me to be positive, it's hard for me to do what I want to do? You would wake the fuck up when you need to. Like when we have to do something, our attitude changes. And so just like with the strategy that I was talking about before and the accountability, it's not that some people are just more disciplined, it's that they have better systems. And in the same way, it's not that some people just have this positive attitude and seem to be able to do everything right. It's that they force their own hand. If you commit to doing something difficult, if you commit to doing some sort of army boot camp and you've paid for it and you've signed up and you've done it and you have to do it now, you're gonna wake up. So it's attitude and systems together. It's like create systems that don't allow you to fail because you are held accountable. Other people are holding you accountable. You have other people's well-being depending on whether you do it or not. And then the second thing is create the environment in which it's not a question of like, how do I feel? It's like you have to do it, right? It's like the attitude comes after the work. It's like you got a day of work, it's like, oh, I don't really want to do it. It's like, yeah, but if you do it now and just move through that feeling of resistance, just hold it with you. Like, I don't want to do this. Fuck, I don't want to do this thing, this work, this place that I have to go, this thing that I have to do. I don't want to do it. There's tension in the body, right? You feel like almost physical pain. You feel like some part of your body is shutting it down, and loads of other things start pinging in your mind. Your phone, YouTube, video games, whatever it is, like porn, it could be any of that. It starts pinging. You hear it like almost like ringing in your mind to distract you from the thing that you have to do. But when you can just hold on to that pain that you feel, which is resistance, and you say, yeah, but the pain transforms into pleasure when I carry it into the task that I'm about to do. I feel the resistance, and it doesn't actually mean I can't do it. I carry the resistance with me into the next task, right? That's what you got to remember. It's like that feeling doesn't have to just trigger the distraction or the other thing that's going to stop you from doing what you need to do. It can actually be carried with you. You can bring it with you into the task, and then in so doing, it transforms it into something else, right? It transforms it into joy and pleasure and satisfaction. And the long-term version of that is extremely satisfying. I want to see the comments. How can I see these? Let me have a look. I can see them popping up. For someone who's been on YouTube for as long as I have, I'm not very tech savvy at all, am I, lads? Right, where are comments? All messages are visible. But where are they? This is ridiculous. I can't even see the comments. Good stuff, Sam. Good stuff. Okay, top chat. Oh, here we are. Okay, I've got them. So I'm going to have a look at these. Sadly, having dinner now, so I won't be able to follow the live through. Just popped in to say hi. Cool Z design. How to feel like a 10 when I feel like my money is not on point, though. I had some success on point, though I had some success for past years. How to translate that level of women success to other areas of life. They all work together as far as I'm concerned. If you become a better communicator, your ability to make money improves as well. So, and vice versa. For me, these things are so intrinsically linked, that triangularity of the wealth, health, love, that it's so obvious whenever your life is anything but really satisfying, that it's one of those things, or more than one of those things, that's off. Your health isn't right, you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, or your wealth is off, you're not working hard enough, or you're following a bad system of making money and making income, or your love is off point and you're just simply not meeting new people and making new friends. It's always one of those things, right? Or more than one of them. So you know that you can actually pinpoint the problem and then find the solution. I rate myself 5 out of 10, but you mentioned don't rate yourself or others because it's inherently judging any people or things in life. No, I think you've misunderstood me a bit. I recently did a live stream with Wheat Waffles, who I have a great deal of respect for, being a young guy who employs like academic research into making really engaging and well thought through videos. So I don't agree with, what I don't agree with is the first principle of Black Pill, which is, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, if you are X, you cannot achieve Y. And I don't even debate whether or not in some cases that's true, right? But if you're born brain dead, you're brain dead, as in if you're born in a coma, you are not going to marry a good woman. We all know that. Like, it's not news to us that people born with different advantages and disadvantages have different abilities to achieve different things. This isn't revolutionary to think that like an extremely tall, handsome, intelligent, successful guy has more advantages than someone who doesn't have all of that. It's not that I deny that, or I think that anybody denies that he has more advantages. It's that where do you want to put your focus? Is that what you want to focus on? Like, is that really where you want your focus to be? Like, I'm not him. I'm a bit shorter. I'm not as symmetrical. I didn't come from the same background that he came from. So I can't do it. Is that where you want the majority of your waking time in this life to be focused? Or do you want to choose a different starting point? So for me, it's not a debate about, do I believe that looks are important, or to what extent? It's that if you're even focusing on that, like, my looks are not as good as his looks and his looks are better than their looks, you are going into such an analytical and unhelpful mindset that any of the actual improvements that you can make are so much harder. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm a normie, I'm a 5 out of 10, so which means I can't get girls who look like this, and I'm not going to be able to do this, and that isn't the same mindset that is going to say, fuck it, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to meet some new people. I'm going to network. I know what kind of girl I like. I know what she's about. I know how she looks. I know how she thinks. I'm going to go find her. I'm going to go out and have some fun. Let's go. I'm going to go and talk to some people. Those two things don't fit in the same area. They are mutually exclusive. And so for me, the point is never, it's not a factual argument. I appreciate the facts, but I don't put my focus where it's not helpful for me to be thinking. So I'm not at all commenting on wheat here. I'm commenting on just how I've sort of come to understand a lot of black pill content in general. But in terms of, you know, in terms of being a 5 and not focusing on that, that's the answer, mate. It's that it's just not helpful to focus on it. I'm not trying to deny anything. I'm not trying to tell the one truth, give the, no, this is wrong and this is the real answer. I'm just saying, don't we all know that when we focus on celebrity stuff and women's pictures on Instagram and like men's ratings, this guy's better hotter than this celebrity, and then this guy's better looking than this guy, and look at this loser, simp, blue pill, this tangled web of temporary cultural vocabulary that we're using. Is that where you want to put your focus? Or do you want to turn all of that off, like go outside, feel the fucking wind on your skin, look at the light of the sun shining through the leaves, look around you and see the smiles on the faces of the people, and just live, right? And those two things are opposed. So my angle is always that. It's like there's sometimes I'm working with someone, or I'm talking with someone, or I'm working with a client, and there's nothing I can say to him. I have to just change the place that he's coming from. It's not a problem of having the wrong information. It's a problem of being so focused on information that you've lost touch with reality, right? It's like you're so focused on language and noise and movements in here that you've forgotten that, like, you're here, you're actually alive, right? And that's my problem with this very analytical approach. And it's also that if you did the old, what's it called? What's that movie where the guy loves Beethoven? Clockwork Orange. If you did the Clockwork Orange routine and pinned my eyes open at a screen, watching black pill content all day, you know, I'm not in the top 5% of guys, and so that means I'm fighting for the bottom 20% of women, or something like it's somewhere close. If I was watching that for 8 hours a day in true Clockwork Orange style, eyes pinned open, I have to watch it, I would be programmed by it. I would be brainwashed, and I would come out starting to believe it, right? That's just the way it is. That's how the news works. We see this narrative so often that if we regularly watch the same news channels, even if we didn't really believe it, or we don't fully believe it, we start to believe it, and we start to adopt some of those views, and we start to use some of that language. We are all programmable, and we are all brainwashable, and that is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it means we can change ourselves, we can modify ourselves, we can improve ourselves. It's a curse because it means other people can modify us and change us and program us towards their own ends. So we have to be both extremely aware of where we got our opinions from. Like, where did I start believing that I'm not good enough? Where did I start believing that I get shy and, you know, I'm shy around people and I'm this guy? And where did these thoughts come from? Where did they start getting implanted in my mind? And for me, I'm not talking about Wheat Waffles. I have a great deal of respect for Wheat Waffles, and I think he's on a good journey. And I genuinely think in 2 or 3 years' time, He's still going to be making great content, and I think the angle of it is going to be slightly different. So that's the important thing. I'm talking about this technical focus, binge watching YouTube videos of women getting owned because they're so self-important, and they think so much of themselves, and the UK's falling apart. There's all these new street harassment laws, and if I even look at a girl, she can think. Why are you putting your focus there? Like, we're here for a short amount of time. Why are you putting your focus there? And I get it, because it's easy, because we all get programmed. Like, I watch YouTube videos, I know how it is, but this is the point. It's like, where do you want to have your focus? Who do you want to spend your time around? What people do you want to actually live with? What people do you actually want to spend your time with? What kind of women do you actually want around you? Is it the Instagram girl with 300,000 followers who's traveling here and there? Or is it just someone like nice? Is it just someone easygoing and nice, and maybe not interested in politics? She doesn't support or not support it. She's just busy living her life. And that's how I think most guys think. It's like, that's what we really want, right? You just want someone who doesn't seem completely fucking brainwashed and programmed in friends and in potential partners. In friends, it seems like a lot to ask for someone who is genuinely cares about you, genuinely wants the best for you, supports you when you go through shit, right? When you go through hard times, they support you. They actually work hard on something they care about themselves. They're passionate about things. They're energetic. They're up for it. They're also overcoming their fears and the challenges that they have. And so when you're around them, it's like power, right? You feel powerful, and they should feel powerful around you. Now, it seems like a lot to ask, right? Maybe it is. But you can find them too. Those people exist. Those guys exist in whatever city you're in. There are those guys there as well. They're somewhere. You just haven't found them yet. Okay, so how do we find them? Again, strategy. Who are you looking for? How many of those people, roughly? How much time would you be willing to spend around them? What kind of things are they interested in? Okay, so what kind of events are you going to go to that are embody the types of things that they're interested in? Who are you going to go with? When are you going to go? And when you get there, how are you going to start talking? What happens if you feel nervous and you don't want to talk to anyone? How are you going to overcome that? Okay, well, maybe there's a guided audio meditation that you can listen to. Maybe you're going to say, no, it's resistance. I'm going to move with my resistance and I'm going to start talking. There is a strategy for this. This is all things that you can actually fix, right? And when you don't have the accountability, when you're not tracking your data, when you're not setting your weekly goals and your daily action steps, when you're not focusing on this like it's actually a project that needs to be linearly achieved, you don't achieve it. And when you do that, you do achieve it. So it's like, that's it. You just have to have the strategy, and you have to force yourself to have the attitude. You have to force yourself to achieve your goals by having no option, because you've got people that you're accountable to, and you've got a strategy that's telling you that you need to do this thing today and tomorrow. And then the same with the attitude. You're not going to wake up with the right attitude every day. You're not going to wake up just blessing the earth for how lucky you are to be alive. You have to create environments in which you really don't have any other option, right? And I think that's one of the great, maybe not secrets, but I certainly think it's possibly the most underrated piece of like self-help advice or self-development advice. Is people often focus on, like, you know, the David Goggins style. Like, it's like, no, you can do it all, it's all in your mind, like, just go, you know, I feel that. But people don't talk so much about actually creating environments in which the alternative is not possible, right? So I think that's one of the most underrated things. It's like, when you force your own hand, right? You say, I'm gonna talk to 10 girls this week, and I'm gonna pay my friend £500 today. And if I don't talk to 10 girls this week, he keeps it. He keeps it, right? There's your motive. Now what? you're going to spend £500 on not achieving your goal, right? So whatever your system is, I know what it is for my clients, but whatever it needs to be for you, you've got to create it. And if you can't create it by yourself, create it with someone else. That's why I do the strategy calls for free. That's why I do the free calls. It's because I genuinely, like I had a client on the call yesterday, not a client, but I had a guy, and he said at the start, he was like, I really want to do a course with you. I really want to do coaching for 12 weeks. I was like, cool. We talked about it. We figured out his strategy. We went through it with him. And then at the end of the call, I was like, so how are you feeling, man? What do you feel like is stopping you now from going ahead and achieving this? Because it sounds like we've put something together. And he's like, bro, nothing's stopping me now. That was what I needed. I just needed to hash it out, right? And so I'm going to have another call with him and see if he's actually followed through on it. But I'm happy if I can spend 30, 40 minutes on the phone with someone and change their life. I don't need to be paid for that. I don't need to be paid for that. That's payment in itself. But I also understand the laws of the universe. One of them is the law of reciprocity. What you give on a long enough timescale, you get back, right? And it's always been my philosophy. But sometimes all you need is a sounding board. You need someone to talk to about it. You need to hash out your own thoughts and your own ideas by bouncing them off someone else. And only then can you really see them and pull them out from that sort of tangled mess in your mind and give them clarity. Attitude and strategy and accountability. So let's look at some of these comments. If anyone's got any really good, deep comments that aren't about looks and ratings and things like that, like something genuinely insightful or interesting, please also feel free to do so. Okay, where are we? When are you going back to Brazil? I'm in Brazil, bro. Weak ego is creating bad stories in our mind until the desires became none. Life is apathetic. Don't really understand. Principles before personality. Principles before personality. Principles create personality, right? Our personality is very flexible. We know there's a lot of evidence to suggest that people's personalities genuinely actually develop and change. There are some things that are unchangeable, like you probably had some of your current nuances when you were like a baby at the age of 2. It was probably obvious that some of those were there. But guys, I'm going to cut this off in a bit because I'm going to do the workshop with the guys in the community. So we've got a Discord community. It's not just a Discord community. We have the self-ascending community, which is exactly what I've been talking about. It's week on week, setting goals together in a group workshop environment, and monthly lectures on a new theme to introduce. So it's like we introduce a theme, and then we talk about how we can apply that theme. It might be like good men, for example. What does it mean to be a good man? Why is it important? How do you become like a good man? You probably all have your images in your mind of what you think a good man looks like. But we might introduce a theme like that and then see how we can specifically apply it to your life. Like, what can you work on in that direction? And then each week on Wednesdays, we have our accountability workshops where we go through the goals that we've set. So for some guys, it's dating more women. For some guys, it's building their social network. For some guys, it's speaking better and more clearly. So whatever it is, we go over everyone's goals, hold them accountable, and then keep track of the wins. So I'm going to be jetting off there because we've got a call in 30 minutes and I want to do some preparation for that. But yeah, I'm back in London on the 4th of April. So if you are... Oh, London's going to be crazy. I'm so excited to come back. Every time I go to Brazil and then come back to London, I see London in a completely new light. It's like the freedom that you get from Brazil, like the freedom of this place and the freedom of traveling and losing so much of that programming and conditioning that we were talking about, because it's all anchored, right? So you leave your house and you see the same streets, same signs, same people, same shops. It anchors you to doing the same actions, right? So you might have the same facial expression, have the same posture. But when you're free of all of those anchors, those things that represent a place, that anchor you to that place, when you move to a new environment, you lose those anchors, you shed those anchors, and your personality expands. It's like your personality like shifts and changes and picks up new things and speaks differently, and there's this flexibility. But it's very much related to environment. And switching up your environment does so much for you. I mean, for anyone in London who's feeling like claustrophobic, let's say, that feeling of like life's getting small, the days feel short, not because it's winter, but because like time just passes and nothing seems like it's happening, you have to get out of your city. You just have to get out of your city. So as soon as I'm back in London, I'm going full speed ahead, because I know that all of you guys are here for a reason, in terms of, I don't mean that in an existential way. I mean, you're here on this channel for a reason, and you're following this journey with everyone else for a reason. And I think that reason on a collective level is that we're not, men today just aren't particularly sure of what they're meant to do. We're just like, I think we're collectively just a bit confused. It's like, what are we meant to be doing? Like, how is this meant to feel? Like, where do I want to go? What I'm supposed to be ambitious, but what do I want? Why should I want that? It's like, I know, I get it. I actually do get that. It's a bit confusing. It's a bit confusing to be a man. I think a lot of the time in the past, we were so busy staying alive, like fighting to survive, that we never actually got to the point of questioning why we want to be alive and what we want to do with it. But now we are questioning it, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I think we also have to give ourselves answers. And for me, the answer is like, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going with this. I know where I'm going with Fluid Social. I know where I want it to be. I know where I'm going in my social life. I know what I'm looking for. I know where I'm going with my health. I'm moving in the directions that I want to move in. And I'm not saying this I'm not saying this in any way, it's not ego. I also have very difficult periods in my life. I'm saying it because I've also been in the position where I don't know where I'm going or why. And I know that you need answers. You need to give yourself goals. You need to give yourself meaningful targets. You need to start feeling those successes. You need to start seeing that you can do this. And that's the reason why I'm doing this. Because as I said at the start of this live, this was not how I was. When I was 19 years old, this is not how I was. This is not how I was on the inside. It was a much, much, much darker place. And so yeah, the reason why I guess I could never fully relate to Black Pill as a movement is because I'm evidence of the opposite as far as I can tell. And again, that's not including Wheat Waffles, because I talked to Wheat Waffles about all of this, and he agrees, right? I think I was in that category of guys who maybe had more potential that I just had no idea about or hadn't realized. I was very, very agreeable when I was younger. Like, I was very agreeable. If some guy, one of my friends liked the girl that I liked, it would be like, just, oh no, go, yeah, she's gonna like you have, so agreeable that, like, for me, one of the greatest benefits of cold approach in my life has been the ability to tolerate conflict, right? The ability to say no, the ability to hold myself in positions of awkwardness, the ability to push through difficult situations that need a solution and have difficult conversations, is one of the greatest benefits of cold approach, is on agreeable guys. It's on, I don't want to say nice guys because that's too loaded a term, but guys who actually genuinely like people to be happy and like giving and like being kind of generous. And there's obviously a lot of guys like that. Yeah, you suck at conflict, man. You're bad at conflict, and cold approach is conflict. There are going to be moments you're going up to someone and interrupting them. You're going to frame it like that, and it's conflict, at least to some extent. And this is helping you to deal with that conflict. It's one of many ways you can do it, along with martial arts, along with training in the gym, along with doing genuinely challenging things and traveling to places you have no idea about. I have never elevated cold approach above any of these other things. I'm not a purist in that sense. I'm like, cold approach is the most important thing in the world. You should all just like stop what you're doing right now and start approaching women. I don't believe that it's not as simple as that. There are guys who are going to tell you how to train in the gym, what to do. There are guys who are going to tell you how to build your business and how to think about your future. I don't think there's enough guys saying like, wait a second, let's look at this. Imagine you're an actually imagine this is a good one. Imagine this, you're an extraterrestrial. You come down to planet Earth today as an alien examining our species, and you look around and you see them all on their phones, and you say, okay, so these people, their primary motive on a biological level is to reproduce. So how are they doing that? They're doing it through these things. They're doing it through these phones, right? You'd be like, what the fuck is going on here? These people, like, all they have to do is go up and talk to each other, and then they meet someone that's compatible, and then they can reproduce. Why do they need this medium in between them? Like, that guy just matched that girl on that dating app, and they literally just walked past each other. Like that, there was actually an app that was specifically for that. What was it called? There was an app. Someone in chat tell me. There was an app where it was like people close in your area, which I actually thought was one of the better ones, because it was like you only match with people who you like walk past or who are in your vicinity. But like, how insane is that? Like, it's like primary directive is survive and reproduce, right? If we're looking at it materially, right? There's spiritual elements. There's like a spiritual component here as well, which is like, okay, yes, but there's something more here as well. Fine, understood. But let's say survive and reproduce. How? Well, obviously, the male and the female go together, and then they create a baby, and that's the reproduction on a base level, right? And a lot of what we're interested in doing and what we like is based on our primary directive of survive and replicate, right? Again, not nihilistic. I think life is incredibly beautiful. I think it's a beautiful adventure, but as a biological and genetic directive. Imagine looking at them and seeing that they've developed communication, and that's why they're the dominant species on the planet, because of their communication. There's a number of things that happened, including like fire, which allowed us to eat meat, which gave us so much more energy, so much faster, that we were able to grow our muscles, and then our brain started expanding at an enormous rate, and that's why we have big heads compared to other apes. But it all comes down to our ability to communicate ideas en masse, right? Complex modes of communication and developing tools, right? So imagine coming down and looking at them, being like, okay, so you can measure the changes in heart rate of the different people, and that girl's heart rate changed when she saw that man, and his heart rate changed when he saw the other. So they're compatible. So they're going to go and talk, right? And then they're going to make babies and reproduce. Like, no. He doesn't talk to her. What? Why? Imagine this conversation. Why? Why doesn't he talk to her? Because that would be offensive. What if she doesn't want to talk to him? The alien would be like, that's what they're here to do. That's why they're here. That's how they got here. It's like, no. She doesn't want to be interrupted. What if she has a boyfriend? What if she can tell? Can't she just tell him? I mean, she doesn't have to talk to him if she doesn't want to. She can just say, I'm not interested. No, we don't do that. That's called harassment. It's called what? It's so insane. And I know that, I mean, I'm joking around here, but you guys know what I mean. You know what I mean. This is not, what's happening now it's not normal, and it's not good. I have a son, he's 3.5 years old, and I don't want him to grow up in a world where the only way that he can meet a girl or a guy that he likes, I'm not going to anticipate the sexuality of my son. But imagine, like, think about your future. Like, you have children. How do you want them to grow up? Like, what kind of world do you want them to grow up in? Like, how do you want them to, like, how do you want them to be? You know, if you have a daughter, don't you want that, like, she has those lessons herself? It's like, okay, like, a weird guy, she found a guy weird, he came to her and he's weird, but like, it's your daughter and she's strong, and you, as a father, you're gonna be like, baby, that's gonna happen in life, you know? Like, there are weird guys, like, you responded in the right way, you weren't rude, you just got out of the situation, like, you did it right, you know? And she's gonna grow up with a strong father figure, and she's not gonna hate men or constantly criticize men because she had a good father. We're short of good fathers. But what world do you want your children to grow up in? Like, what world do you want to leave for them? How do you want it to be for them? How do you want their, like, college, university, school experience to be? Like, you want them to be on their phones all day? You want the girls and the guys to be segregated? You want them to be, like, taught about, like, all this kind of weird political bullshit? I don't want that. I don't want that for my son. I don't want that for you guys. I don't want that for myself. I think we're going in a weird direction because things must have gotten easy. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Bad times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Times have been easy. COVID's the biggest issue we've had. And then Russia, Ukraine. Life is easy right now. And it's not always going to be something that's going to come along, unfortunately, or fortunately. But be prepared. And if you are, I know you guys, most of you are, because if you're on this live stream, you certainly are. But if you're a guy that wants to become stronger, like, there is a space for you in the world. So don't feel like the weird direction that politics is going, everything's going, is a sign that you're not needed, or that you're useless, or that you don't have what it takes. Yeah. Don't let that brainwash you, because, oh my God, we've never needed strong men more than, like, I think it's going to be a problem if we don't have more strong men. So that's it. I'm going to head off in a sec, guys, because I've got another thing coming. We've got a couple of minutes. Let me look at some more comments. I want to find the most entertaining comment. They use the tools to communicate. Yeah, they do. I guess they do. I don't think it's going to get any better. Tough times are coming before it gets any better. Yeah, we know. I guess we don't know, right? We don't know when things are going to change. Everyone always tries to predict that. But as you see with economics and society, no one actually gets it right. All of the experts get it wrong. No one predicts the market properly. If they do, it's just good luck. What are good social warm-up momentum builders if you've been inside all day and haven't talked to anyone? Good question. First thing to do is, as soon as you walk out, you just say, okay, I'm going to go outside. I don't have to commit to anything. I'm going to go outside. I've been on my computer all day. What I'm going to do when I leave the house, I'm going to slow down the speed of my walking, right? I'm going to walk consciously slower than is natural. Like, I'm just going to, like, literally just step, 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 step. Walk slowly, drift through your environment, stand up as straight as you can. Like, and when I say that, people don't get what I mean. Like, people think, like, okay, standing up straight. No, like, I mean straight and more, like, bring your spine completely in alignment, like, completely vertical, as straight as you can. So slow down, stand up straight, and then begin to just look at the people around you, right? Because a meditation is essentially, it's a way of accessing awareness by redirecting your focus, right? And so if you want to become social by redirecting your focus onto human beings and the faces of human beings, you are reminded that they are just like you. Like, some of them are probably anxious, some of them are just, like, lost in thought, some of them are angry, some of them are happy. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I'm not the outsider here. It's not like this sort of imposter syndrome of, like, the world's happening out there and I'm here, solitary observer of everything. You realize that it's all okay. Everything's okay. You're moving slowly. You see everything. You see your whole panorama in front of you. Like, you're not just, like, tunnel vision. And that helps when you're moving slowly. It helps to see everything clearly. Stand up really straight, because it just instantly changes your, like, neurochemical. As soon as you stand up straight, you're immediately given, like, dopamine and serotonin, because it's just a sign of dominance to stand up straight. So you see it all throughout like tribal history, like the highest status men would stand up the straightest and all that. So it gave them this feeling of like, yes, I'm in charge, I'm in control. So you can reverse engineer that by standing up straight. So slow down, stand up straight, and then look at the faces of the people around you. And after you've started just making eye contact with people, just looking at people, maybe it seems a bit weird at the start, but if you've just got a neutral expression, you just nod at people, smile, like, hi, good afternoon, hi, you just start to feel okay. You see a girl and she's no longer terrifying, she's like smiling, she's not scary. I can just go and ask her like how old her dog is, or where the supermarket is, or I can just say like, you look really nice today, have a nice day. It's just this like stories we make before we approach that scare us, you know? It's like, it's not actually talking to the person that's scary. It's like if you were actually looking in their eyes already, you would sense how they're feeling, and you would kind of get a bit of an idea of like, oh, okay, it's just a person, I can probably talk to them. The problem is that we don't actually look at them. It's like, see hot girl, immediately get hijacked by thoughts that make us like feel agitated, and then don't look at her again. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like we're not even looking at the people and like figuring out whether it's a good option. You know? Like, imagine if you like got offered a business opportunity, like you sat at a table opposite someone, and they're like, I'm gonna pay you £1 million if you sign up for our company. And then instead of like looking through the deal and the document and really just looking at it and studying it, you were just like, £1 million, but I'm gonna have to do loads of work. So like, no, and just pushed it away because you were scared of just like looking at it and figuring it out. That's what it's like. You know, it's just crazy. So just look at people. It makes it much, much easier. Imagine if life was as easy as that. Someone wants to talk about... I'm not going to talk about Tate on this live stream, just because I have a lot of ideas about what's going on, and I'm still not sure how YouTube responds to hearing his name. I've tried it a couple of times, but I don't want to talk about Tate right now. What would you do if you were diagnosed with an incurable STI? Would this affect your motivation, struggling to get back on the horse, knowing that I need to disclose? Damn. I mean, it's perfectly possible. It could happen to any of us getting an STI, right? I'm sorry if that's the case for you. But no, bro, the same thing. Like, you just gotta play the cards you're dealt, right? This is the way it is. You get an incurable STI. What does it actually mean for your life, right? We're all going to the same place, bro. We're all heading to the same grave. Herpes and HSV. I don't know what HSV is. I think that's a really common one, bro. You know, like 30% of Americans have herpes. No one cares. It's fine. Get on with your life. But yeah, obviously, if you have a contagious disease, you don't want to just give it to someone without letting them know that there's a risk of that. Fine, you know, you just be good to people, do the right thing, and most of the time we know what that is. Cool. You think women come as a byproduct of your success or other achievements? It's both things, bro. They are a byproduct of success and other achievements, and they are also going out and meeting women and learning how to meet women is also just comes from the same mind of the same man that goes on to achieve other things, right? Like, success begets success, right? So it's not that they come as a byproduct. It's that guy that like was like, yes, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to achieve big things, I'm going to achieve my goals, is also the type of guy that's attractive to women, right? So it's not just like, you make this success and then all the women come to you because you're successful. It's like, no, the very things that made you successful are attractive to women. UK director, back in the UK for some time, bro. How long? I'm gonna be back in the UK for like seven months at least. I'm gonna go to Dubai at some point as well. So cool. Wheat Waffles is gonna change as soon as he steps out the West. It's quite could be true. It definitely changes your perspective. Traveling out of the UK does, but wheat waffles, I think, there's a lot more that meets the eye. I know he gets I think he's quite Marmite. A lot of guys just disagree with everything he says. I don't pay so much attention to what he's saying. For me, he's a great content creator, and I also think he's smart, and so smart people change their minds about things, and smart people evolve, is what I mean to say. And I do think that some of his focuses are going to evolve, even though I think what he says is largely true in a sort of hard evidence way. I think that his perspective is going to change a lot. Cool. All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. Hope you've enjoyed it. We're over an hour. See you later. Bye. Talk to you soon.